up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX.
J-Way.
I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless.
I'm gone.
Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck.
Give me
Into
that.
the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. I am here on a solo dolo tip today. Coach is having some technical difficulties, so maybe he will pop up, but more than likely I'm going to be rolling solo to give you guys a week in Tigers baseball. Definitely going to be a little bit shorter than usual. Of course, me and Coach definitely get the banter back and forth, and it extends out the show, but we're going to make sure that we get you a show nonetheless, because these Tigers are 9-6. They are holding on to first place, and they had a pretty solid week this week. We nearly were able to sweep a couple teams, but we were able to take 2 of 1 from both the Yankees and the Twins. It was a pretty frigid, cold week series during the weekday against the Yankees, where they had to move around some start times to combat the cold weather and windy conditions. And we were able to take the first 2 games from Minnesota, and we lost today. The bats went anemic. We had one run, and that was off the bat of Spencer Torkelson, who had a very good week. He continues his comeback player of the year campaign with another good series this weekend. But yeah, a couple things to talk about. Just some observations on the week. We got to see Tarek Skubal bounce back a little bit. He had been struggling his first couple outings, but he pitched a good outing against the Yankees. We had a couple shutouts this weekend. We didn't. We got some wins, but we were able to shut out the Yankees, which is very difficult to do. And don't know what to make of the Twins. They were able to steal a game today, but we were able to shut them out in one of the games as well. Jackson Jobe had his first of many wins this week as well. He had a lot of weak contact today, which was not today. That was yesterday, but he had a lot of weak contact. Not very many strikeouts, which eventually that will come with time. But nonetheless, he had a solid outing. Zach McKinstry has been hitting very well. Thus far, he's been in the lineup every day. He's been playing good defense. That's one thing that we know we're going to get from Zach McKinstry, but he's bringing it at the plate as well. We got to see the return of Gleyber Torres. And also Caoch Keith. We got some words to the media from Caoch Keith. He's really been struggling both at the MSU Detroit fan, not the best game. As long as we rebound against Milwaukee, it'll be fine. Yeah. Especially with Skubal pitching tomorrow. Absolutely. MSU Detroit fan in the building. I thought he was talking about the Bucks game because I did not get a chance to watch the Pistons versus the Bucks. But yes, we do have the Milwaukee Bucks coming up. I'm gonna be a little bit all over the place because I was a part of this was supposed to be was prepared from Coach, but we'll get through it. Zach McKinstry has been hitting very well. I wanted to talk about splits today. One of the reasons why the Tigers have fared so well is because the offense has had a strong contribution from top to bottom. When you look at the bottom of our lineup, guys like Baez, Dingler, McKinstry, Caoch Keith, everybody's doing their part. Javi Baez is hitting .316 with runners on and 400 runners in scoring position. Dylan Dingler. Now, mind you, some of these numbers I took these numbers down a couple of days ago, so some of these numbers probably are a little skewed. But Dylan Dingler at that particular time was hitting 333 with runners on and 417 with runners in scoring position. Zach McKinstry 294 with runners on, 308 with runners in scoring position. And he was hitting 391 with nobody on. I mean, just blazing hot bat. And last but not least, Caoch, who has struggled, but even him getting it done with runners in scoring position, hitting 308, 400 with runners on, and 250. I'm assuming 250 is with none on, but that's the bottom of your lineup. Obviously, we're getting to see a lot more. We're getting to see a lot more Dylan Dingler, and we're going to get to why that is the case. But he has continued to be successful, and you love to see it. So let's get to the injury report. We have a couple guys that went on the eye. Here we go. Well. Coach, I was scrambling, man. I needed you.
Yeah, a little technical
There
difficulty.
we
Still
go.
not back out of it, but from my phone right now. So
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Yeah, if you probably responded. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna bring it back around for you. Um, Obviously, a big week in sports for us in general. Obviously, it's always a good thing when we can win a series against the old Twinkies. But in bigger news, our alma mater, the hockey team, our national champions. Coach, take it away. Run it down. Whatever you need to say about it. Okay, yeah. The show for tell.
hey, man, I know we've been going crazy since last night and all the videos we've seen back at the old stomping grounds. Everyone just, celebrating the moment. Um, it's nuts. First Division One title since the '60s. Um, Man, yeah, it was just it brought me back to the days we were in school when the program really started to take off with the Kaiser and Blashill. Kind of laid the foundation for the next 15, 17 years with the school now with what they got going on. But yeah, it's absolutely surreal considering we're a MAC school. Winning a Division One championship in hockey is just yeah, it's still on cloud nine. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, man. It sounds like you were throwing a few back last night, but well deserved because you were holding us down. You were keeping us abreast of everything that was going on, and you said first national championship as far as any sport, or are you talking about hockey?
First ever for hockey. It's their first Division One championship since I think '65 when the cross country team won two national championships, but that program's been long gone. So
Right.
I guess if you want to call it the modern era, absolutely. Probably the closest thing since the football team with Coach Fleck and that run that they had. But obviously this sets the bar.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go Broncos. We'll do we have any like prospects or any like guys with any
Oh,
draft
we got
stock or
we got multiple guys that have been drafted
well, we're number
already.
one team in the nation, I guess. So we got to have somebody.
Yeah. Alex Bump, who's I think co-captain, assistant captain, is expected to sign his offer sheet with Philly, I think. But that's regular season's coming to a close here. But yeah, I mean, we have a handful of guys that, and then our goalie, Cam Moreau was our starting goalie, transferred from Wisconsin, who's had 2, 3 really good years with us. Kind of gave way to the freshman phenom in Hampton. I'm gonna mispronounce his name. He's got a brother Grant, who's a either forward or defenseman on the team as well. Guy was lights out down the stretch. I don't think he lost a game. I don't think, at least not in regulation.
Right.
He's going to be climbing up NHL draft boards here heading into next summer's draft. But yeah, we've got a handful of guys that have been drafted and will be most likely signing tender sheets if not returning.
That's what's up, man. It doesn't matter if it's horseshoes. If the Broncos are cooking, we care about that. So, big news that went down just last night. Yeah, transitioning back to the Tigers. The Tigers are 9-6 in first place. They took two of three from the Yankees and the Twinkies, and yeah, I kind of touched on just a couple notable players. Obviously, Zach McKinstry has been tearing it up. I think maybe his hitting streak was snapped today. I'm not sure if he.
It would have been his on base streak.
Just on base streak. Okay.
Yeah, his hit streak ended yesterday. Well, at 8 in a row, but he reached base with a walk to get it to 9 games.
Okay. But yeah, when a guy like that is going to perform well defensively, when you can get that type of output from him at the plate, I mean, you just can't lose there. I also touched on the fact that Gleyber Torres is kind of slowly making his way back. He's not starting every game. I think he got a day off on Saturday. We got to see Scooby bounce back with a good outing, and Jackson Jobe got his first win in a quality start, where I don't think he gave up a run in the. It was certainly a lot of soft contact. We didn't allow a single extra base hit until the 9th inning of the game. But the last thing we kind of touched on is that Caoch had some things to say just about his confidence and how it's a little, somewhat shot. But any thoughts over the week as far as the Tigers' performances as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen, I think there was a stat I read heading into the Minnesota series this weekend. The bullpen had collectively the best whip, MLB whip of .77. Our rotation's been pretty good. Some of the guys, Scooby had the shaky start early. Reese Olson was a little inefficient the other day. It kind of cost him. He's been dealing with a higher whip, so that's kind of factored in or force multiplied some of his mistakes that have come around to score. But I mean, that's been the name of the game. And ironically, the offense has kind of been buoyed by the bottom half, in addition to some of the guys that have been off to good starts, like Torkelson, like McKinstry, who's kind of batted all over the lineup, honestly. We've seen less of Kreidler, as we probably should for the most part, but getting Gleyber back, I think, is kind of big. It might take some pressure off Colt. Now Colt will kind of rotate like he was the start of the year. Might help settle some things back down and allow him some time to, get in the cage or run some drills with his position coach and do what he needs to do to, work on his game. But guys are making timely hits at the right, when they need. Carey kind of started off slow too. He's had a better week overall, not great, but again, timely hits. He smacked the ball around a little bit today too. But yeah, it's contributions from all these guys. So that's pretty much the same in terms of theme from last year rolling into this year.
Yeah, and I kind of touched on a little bit when I was looking at the splits as far as the bottom of our lineup, guys like Baez, Dingler, McKinstry, Keith, all these guys are flirting or with around a 300 with runners on or runners in scoring position. When you can get production at the bottom of your lineup like that, it takes we were pretty much last year forced to, if Green wasn't hitting, if Carpenter wasn't hitting / healthy, I mean, we had a lot of guys that you could kind of attack, and you knew that they weren't going to be able to make hard contact. And as of recently, outside of today, where we only had one run, we've been top to bottom, a force to be reckoned with. When Dylan Dingler's hitting over 350 and he's batting in the 8th hole, like, what what can you really do in situations like that? So good to see that from them. We're gonna get to the first break, and then we're gonna talk injuries, because we got those. Actually, no. Before we do that, let's touch on these comments right here. Let's see what MSU Detroit fan is talking about. He said should have been us, but definitely happy for Western. Us. Oh, you talking about State? Huh?
Hey, we rooting for a Michigan State Western final. That would have been absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, that would have been win-win for sure. He says the Tigers can be true contenders if the bats can stay hot because we already know the pitching is elite, but both starting pitching and bullpen. So if we can hit the ball, we can win a lot of games. Yeah. But I'm gonna touch on the bullpen a little bit later on. Ryan Kryler is here until Vierling or at least Margot returns. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
MSU Detroit fan, I was told Matt Vierling should be back around the end of the month, so that is still true. Wenzel Perez was said to be more of a May return, and we shouldn't expect Parker Meadows until July. Yikes! I mean, 60. I mean, I don't know where the actual official, return is on a 60-day, but yeah, that sounds awful. But it'll be a nice little trade deadline acquisition that we didn't have to trade for. So. Is what it is. Let's take the first break. All right, injury report. Take it away, Coach.
Yeah, really not too much. I think some of the news was older, probably beginning first couple days of the week. So we'll start with the older news about Jake Rogers and Manuel Margot back on the 8th. We're placed in the 10-day IL. With that as well, they moved Wenzel Perez to the 60-day IL. I think we had been tracking his weekly cortisone shot schedule for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm kind of not surprised. Usually your body can only take so much cortisone, pain reliever before you have to figure out what actually is a problem and address it more directly than just trying to cover it up. But so we're not going to expect him back anytime through next month at this rate. And that news, they did bring up Brewer Hicklin along with Thomas Nito. They purchased his contract in lieu of Jake Rogers. That promoted Dylan Dingler basically to the full-time starter, with Nito being the primary backup. The more recent news, Gleyber Torres, obviously, as we know now, was activated a few days ago, and Brewer Hicklin, who was up for maybe 72 hours or less, has gone back down to Toledo. And there was some news about Parker and Vierling. Vierling is nearing a return, should be here in the next couple weeks at the latest. He was cleared to continue his progression schedule for his hitting and fielding. Parker had a positive step where he was cleared to hit, so he's going to start a hitting regimen here. After that, it'll be based on when he gets cleared to throw. We'll get a little bit better timeline, but he's probably still at best case right now, a couple weeks, like 3 weeks or so. So April's still out of the question, maybe early mid-May in terms of the earliest right now, unless there's a setback. But that's pretty much it regarding that. And I know we were pretty much anticipating, based on Vierling's return, that the corresponding move would be most likely to send Kreidler back down. But that's still to be determined between now and then.
Yeah, and just to touch on Tomas Nito, his birthday, happy belated birthday to Tomas Nito. That was 4/11, so that was yesterday. Had an awful day at the plate, but he did call a great game with Jackson Jobe, so that was, at least something that you hang his hat on. But he kind of had a pretty strong start to the spring and was making some noise, kind of slowed down, and he's up for the foreseeable future while Jake Rogers is out with an oblique injury, I believe. But we will likely see a whole lot of Dylan Dingler in the interim. But it's good to know that Nito can. I think he won a Gold Glove a couple years ago, but he's definitely defensively a solid catcher. I wish he would have had a better showing on his birthday hitting wise, but it is what it is. Let's see what MSU Detroit fan says. What about those pitcher guys like Alex Cobb or Jose Urquidy. I don't expect to see Jose for a while, but I feel like Cobb. I don't know. I want to say he's starting bullpen sessions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that was the last update either earlier in the week, this week, or to end last week. Yeah.
Which sounds so much closer than it is, but I've been seeing that from what's his name? Sawyer Gibson Long for such a long period of time. It's like bullpen session doesn't mean anything. Nito was told was more of a defensive catcher, and he had a good season before we traded him last year. He's definitely a defensive catcher. I don't think he's ever hit very strong, but he said although Carson Kelly was a defensive catcher, he had a good season before being traded last year, and he's having a great season this year too. I don't know what got into Carson Kelly, but that dude has been mashing. I saw him hit a home run against the Dodgers in a rout. Did you see the
16-0 game? Yeah.
What the? That's crazy. Yeah. So that's that. Let's talk about the minor league report. Got a lot of things going on down on the farm. Mr. Matt Manning had a save. I don't know if this is. I don't know if they're planning on fully changing him over to a high leverage bullpen guy, but he did have a 3-inning save over this week. Kyler Montero also bounced back with a no hits and 5 innings pitched. So he struggled in his first game back, but he was able to bounce back. Josue Broseno hit a grand slam this week. Young hit a 2-run home run. That's his third. He's been tearing it up. And Akil Baddoo continues to hit moonshots in Lakeland. I don't know how long he's going to be rehabbing down there, but it appears he's getting his confidence up at an all-time high. Hopefully he can transition that into Toledo. But yeah. And the last thing we're going to talk about here, the knuckleballer that we signed over the winter. His name is Kenny Serwa. In his first 2 outings combined, he's gone 6 innings. He's only given up 1 hit, 0 runs, 1 walk, and 6 Ks. So still a long way to go before he can, make his dreams and be a knuckleball pitcher in the major leagues. But cool to see him. Cool to see him do well down in what did I say? Oh no, West Michigan. So what is that? Oh, high A.
White, yeah.
Yeah, the white
Whitecaps.
Yes. All right. But you talked about Matt Vierling and that he's on his way back. So let's take a look at what the lineup might look like when he returns. How does that look? See if we can pull it up here. Oh, why is it blocking? Oh, that's because our faces. See if I can adjust that. So there we go. All right, let's take a look. Is that 9 guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. Okay. All right. So as we look at the starting at the starting lineup when Matt Vierling returns, we got Gleyber Torres as the top. He's definitely, I think in his debut game back, he hit leadoff. We got Riley Green, who's been struggling lately. Somebody joked on Twitter that obviously Riley Green and Torque can't be doing well at the same time because just as quickly as Torque has really turned things up, although he's been pretty good the whole year so far. Riley Green's kind of struggled. I don't know if he's had any days off. He's been playing a lot of center field as well. But so yeah, we got Riley Green slotted in at number 2. We got Kerry Carpenter DHing at the 3 spot. We got Torque in the 4 hole. We got Vierling at 5. I don't know if he'll start that high upon his return, but whatever. We got Dylan Dingler at 6. We got McKinstry playing left field because I figure he's a better left fielder than Kerry Carpenter, although Carpenter's been pretty good this year. We got Javi Baez at 3rd base. And then we got Sweeney in the 9 hole, which is all this can be very interchangeable. I've even seen McKinstry bat lead off, so you could probably knock everybody down if you put McKinstry up at the top. But then we got Malloy on the bench. We got Cole Keith coming off the bench, who I mean, Torque has played very well at first base. At the very least, he's going to be in the lineup, regardless of how you want to, however you want to slice it. You put Torque at DH, you put Keith at first, and then you sit McKinstry maybe in that situation, or maybe Baez, but Baez has been it's been hitting pretty well. And then you have Ibanez, who, for all intents and purposes, unless we're facing a lefty, is going to be on the bench. Is there anybody on the bench that I'm missing?
Nothing I can think of, no. But to your point, you mentioned Ibanez and Riley have both been struggling this year as a whole. So that kind of throws, not really a wrench, but it should cause a little bit of concern for AJ when he's making. I mean, I gotta imagine he's still going to stick to the numbers for the most part. So it might just be, us speculating purely at that point. But yeah, those two guys continue to struggle. And you mentioned the Colt comments about his confidence. He had a good series the last few days. He looks like he got it out, and then he started to find something. I'm not saying he's back, but it feels like he's starting to turn things around slowly here over the last few games. But I mean, I don't think you're wrong there. Yeah, I mean, I know I keep hammering it home, but if Riley's struggling, I don't see why you keep sitting Carey against lefties on a regular basis. I want to see more at bats to get a better breadth of scope of those splits. And then, after 35, 40 some at bats, if he's still batting, a buck with one home run or whatever, and it's just obviously not there, then sure. But I mean, as Torque has been really, really warm this spring, I'm not going to say hot, but I mean, his power's been there for sure. I mean, man, if you could get those two guys going at the same time, 3, 4, 4, 5 in lineup, forget about it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it can really get dangerous. I don't really worry too much about Green. He's gonna snap out of it at some point. He was an all-star. I'm gonna see how things progress for the next month or so, and then we may be having talks about others being all-stars. But I'm gonna chill on that. I'm just saying. Let's set the tone here. Mr. Torque is, first of all, let's set the tone. Let's get this out of here. I mean, I don't know who this dude is, but I share the sentiment. I still believe in Torque. I mean, he's upwards in the league of home runs, WAR, launch angle. I mean, he's just sending balls into the. I mean, when a guy is comfortable, is that comfortable, and I mean, he's got to feel like he's back at Arizona State. I mean, he's pimping home runs. He's flipping his bat. And it's got to look like a beach ball out there. He's just demolishing pitches right now, and I'm here for the ride. He's playing great first base as well, not just scooping. I mean, he's stabbing line drives. He's getting it done in all levels of the game, and he's scary for the opposite team right now. At any given time, whether it's a fastball or it's a hanging slider that doesn't get the break it's supposed to get, he's really putting that ball into the atmosphere. So putting together a good first month of the year, and he's first ballot. What's it called? Comeback player of the year, MVP, all the above, right?
Let's get you some water.
Let's get to all out. I'm thirsty, man. Let's see what Mr. My City's talking about. Casey and Joby Tig. He said Casey and Joby Tigers right now. Is that Kansas City? Job? I don't. Casey. Oh, Casey and Job are my Tigers right now. Who's KC? Oh, Kerry Carpenter.
Kerry Carp. Kerry
Gotcha.
Bonds.
He said, "Oh yeah, speaking of prospects, I've been hearing Max Clark has been a monster with West Michigan, and also Kevin McGonigal is apparently injured. Yeah, it appears the injury, McGonigal injured his ankle, and it was on. He was sliding back to third base, and was one of those where he didn't give himself enough room to slide, so he kind of jammed his foot when he was getting back to third. But yeah, I want to say Clark.
He's multiple
sizzling.
extra base hits, home runs, 3-run home run late game, midweek, I think, to tie it, and I think they end up winning the game. He's batting well over 300 with, granted, they've played a little bit fewer games than the Tigers have. I mean, Max Clark, his numbers are gaudy. I mean, they are just gaudy.
Yeah, he continues to tear it up. He had a pretty good spring. It was fun to see him play. Yeah, he's got 1 home run, 11 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. It looks like his average has slipped under 281, but 890 OPS. He's doing a fine job right now. Let's see. Let me see the trophy. 5 home runs in 15 games could be a little better, but this is way better to start than we had last year. I think we started pretty good last year, but as far as the power and the hitting, yeah, absolutely. Wow, that time is going. It's already 30 minutes into the show. He says Clark jumping to Erie soon. I'll say by July.
He needs, they got to give him 90 days. Like they've had 2 weeks of the season. Like,
yeah, there's no point.
Get it, but let's see if he keeps the numbers he's at with some minor difference, but nothing too crazy. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't be on track for that. I just don't see him going to Toledo from the start this year by the end of the year. I don't.
No. Yeah, give him a chance to win a championship with Erie. Erie, I think they're 2-time back-to-back champs in their league. He'll certainly be there by the end of the year. Toledo is awful though. I think they're 2-8 or something crazy like that.
It's that rotation of players up and down the last month going back to spring training, man.
Right. Let's get to the next break and then we'll see where we're at. All right, let's get to these 2 comments, and then we're going to talk call-ups and call-downs. MSU Detroit fan, I'm just wondering if he makes a rise like Job last year. Job is a little older, I think. Job didn't start the year in high A, but maybe he did. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. Didn't Joe start in West Michigan last? He may have. I think it was Erie. But I could be wrong. I feel like they want to bring Clark along with McGonigal. Maybe I'm just making that up. They did that last year where they both moved up after the All-Star game together. But no rush. We're not going to see him this year. We hope things don't get that bad to where we get desperate like that. So we can continue to bring him along. He's 20 years old. He doesn't turn 21 until December. So this guy, no rush. The team's playing well. We'll see what Meadows can bring to us in July. We'll have Vierling playing, manning center field for most days. And the days that Vierling's not there, Green can play there, and then we got enough corner outfielders to cover it. MSU Detroit fan, I know he was with the Seawolves for most of last year, but he still jumped also almost basically from Erie to Detroit. Yeah, he definitely jumped from Erie to great. He may have had a cup of coffee in Toledo. But as we talk about the minors, who do you think are there any players right now on the Tigers that are in danger of being sent down, or any moves that you can see happening in the near future?
Well, I think we can all agree on the obvious one for Veerling will be Kreidler goes down. I mean, I know it's kind of outfielder for outfielder primarily we'd be using Veerling in this situation, but obviously he plays a good third base defense too. So I would not be surprised we see him there a few times at least until we can figure something out between Baez and Sweeney. And maybe even a Banez to a degree too, because we're carrying a lot of situational infielders right now. And if Banez is not going to be crushing against left-handed pitching, then it makes it tough for him to, be given opportunities as regularly as he had last year. Because when your effectiveness is limited in scope and you're no longer as effective and not really quite to the same degree, it's hard to keep going to them as often as they had. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think, we talked about it offline too. With the second return, if it becomes Parker or someone else, who goes down and replacement essentially. They just purchased Nito's contract, so there's potential that he could end up being DFA'd and then just sent down to Toledo and taken off the 40-man. It's possible. If not, and if he can't figure it out and he goes into a prolonged slump, I know we spoke about potentially Cole Keith going down because he's got the options and obviously he's young too. But again, I think that's still predicated on what else is happening around in the infield and who is or is not being as effective in terms of your situational flex players that they have and been utilizing between both infield and outfield.
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered everything. The one sleeper situation, Brisky has been struggling, and we forget Jason Foley's just posted up down there. He's yet to give up. I don't know if he's got an ERA of 0. I don't know if he's not giving up a hit or not, but yeah, he's got an ERA of 0. Brisky hasn't done just so much to warrant being given so many opportunities. There's not a lot of bad things to say about the bullpen as a whole, but yeah, I think outside of Maeda, Brisky, could definitely benefit from some extra opportunities at the AAA level. Foley was our highest of leverage pitchers last year. He had over 25 saves last year. So yeah, I think that if Brisky has a couple more rough outings, I think that you could see that change being made. As you talk about Ibanez, when we look at his stats, he's hitting 136. He does have a home run and 5 RBIs. He's hitting 063 against lefties in 16 at bats. That's 1 hit out of 16 at bats. And surprisingly, he's hitting 333, 2 for 6 against righties. But he does have he's also 2 for 6 and hitting 333 with runners in scoring position, which is why you see the 5 RBIs, which is quite a bit in a small for a bench player. He's not playing every day. So for him to have 5 RBIs already, that's not too shabby. There's a couple, some of your favorite baseball players, some of your favorite players may not have 5 RBIs as of yet. So doing enough. Obviously, his defensive versatility is important, but if he's not able to hit against lefties, that's kind of the one reason that we have him on the team. So he's gonna have to get that figured out, or he could be the guy being sent down. Now, any news?
I got Foley's numbers here real quick if you want them.
Yeah, come on.
So he's pitched in 5 games. He's pitched in the 9th inning only once. It wasn't a save situation, so it's just a games finished slot that they use. 8 and looks like 9. It says 8.3 innings pitched. I think that should be 9 innings pitched. One
Right.
hit allowed, 9 strikeouts, 1 wild pitch. That's it. I mean, he's been absolutely lights out.
Nasty. Now he hasn't got a because the Mudheads haven't been up, so I'm assuming that they're kind of holding. They're not pitching him a whole lot. But yeah, you said one hit. You said 9 strikeouts.
Yep.
And 1 wild pitch.
Yep. No walks, no hit by pitches. He has faced 22 batters, so essentially he has almost retired every batter he's faced. 22 out of 21 out of 22.
Yeah. So at that point, what nothing. What he's just out there chilling, pretty much. So we'll see. You like to see that. I know Chafin's numbers are a little bit more bloated. I think his ERA was like 5 something. So not looking good for him so far. But
I feel like he's more of an insurance policy right now between Herter and Tyler Holton at this point.
Yeah. I agree. Any of those guys go down, you can bring Chafin up and he can, play the role. Any news around the major leagues to talk about, or just anything that you want to touch on before we talk about the upcoming series?
Yeah, I mean, the AL East is kind of turned upside down to start. Didn't think Baltimore would be off such a slow start, or the fact that Toronto would be kind of right at the top of the division for the most part. Boston, a little bit of a slow start, but that's going to be a brutal division. That's going to be if all those teams are firing, I mean, and if the Blue Jays have a better year, it's going to be a gauntlet. I think the most intriguing storyline so far that we've seen is that Trout's healthy, and he is mashing the ball. He's already got 6 home runs in April, and the Angels are leading the AL West, which I don't think anyone had on their bingo card. They have as many wins as we do, so it'll be interesting to see. And despite the Dodgers, they're 3rd in their division, and they're actually off to a pretty decent start. But the Padres and Diamondbacks or Giants as well are red hot as well. So interesting national storylines. Aside from that, just us leading the way of the division.
Tommy Edman leading the major leagues. I mean, tied with several players with 6, but another thing we didn't have on our bingo card as far as home run leaders. But as I talked about our upcoming schedule, we have the Milwaukee Brewers in. Is it still Miller Stadium? Is that still what?
I don't think it's. I think it's been renamed since.
Yeah,
Miller.
I think so too.
Some family fun center, but yeah, I mean, we'll just call it, Miller Park.
We'll call it Miller Park.
Just like AT&T when Barry Bonds played San Francisco. I don't even know what to call it. Oracle now, like those names change, but the only ones that haven't really are, the classics. But yeah, no, we are in Milwaukee to start next week.
All right, and they are 2nd in their division. They're 8-7, 2 games behind the Chicago Cubs, and then the next series after that is the Kansas City Royals come to town for a home series over the weekend. Let's see where the Royals are at.
They're right there with us. They're kind of neck and neck a little bit. Cole Reagan's had an outstanding game today for the Royals. I believe they played Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He had 8 or 9 strikeouts through 5 or 6 innings at one point.
And the Royals are 8-8, so they're a game and a half behind the Tigers. So that should be a good. A good series. Hopefully, we can win another series against a divisional foe. Before we get to that, though, we gotta take on who's the Christian Yelich and Jackson Churio and.
Yeah. They lost. Was it Contreras who left? The offensive hitting catcher. But that team perennially had been a playoff team for the last 4 or 5 years. They had Chad, who's the guy the Orioles just signed in the offseason. They had him, Chad Burns. They traded him at the dread line last year to, I believe, was it Arizona? Then he left for free agency after that. I don't know how they keep doing it, but it must be nice considering the Cardinals have been bad for a few years now. So they've just kind of been able to run with it. And the Cubs, obviously, last year had a bad year. So in terms of pitching matchups for the week, though, starting tomorrow night in Milwaukee, we've got the reigning Cy Young champ Scooble going against his good buddy and former Tiger, I believe, Tyler Alexander. So battle of friends on the mound. There was a quote yesterday or last night, Scooble, when he got the notification that Alexander would be starting against him, they kind of texted each other and like, hey, this will be fun, good luck, everything. They're obviously still good friends. Game 2 will be Flaherty against Preister. And then the rubber match game Wednesday afternoon will be Reese Olson against a starter to be named later from Milwaukee. As we start the 4-game home series with Kansas City. Big, long 4-game home series with them. Joe will start it off for us, coming off his first major league win against another former Tiger, Lorenzen. Game 1. Casey Mize will take the ball for game 2. Hopefully looks to bounce back after today's outing against Cole Reagans, who was red hot today. And then it will go Saturday with Scooble against Seth Lugo. And Sunday, Jack Flaherty will wrap it up against the never-aging Michael Wacha.
Yeah, he's been around a long time. So as we wrap up, obviously the Tigers are in first place and they're holding everybody else off right now. I personally am looking to see Riley Green get back going. He's been struggling. I presume that if he has a couple more bad games, that he'll likely get a day off somewhere along the road. But he was an all-star last year, and if he can get things going, combined with everybody else doing their part, we're going to continue to be a very scary team. But I'm also looking to see Reese Olson. He's struggled quite a bit early on. We've seen Scooble get back going. We've seen Jackson Jobe get back going. Flaherty's been pretty good all year round. He's probably been our best pitcher, pound for pound throughout this entire.
He looks healthy as hell.
Yeah, he does.
That's a fantastic sign considering we didn't we saw him a little bit in spring training, but you weren't sure if that was the rumors could be put to bed. But I think right now they can be put to bed.
Yeah. Looks pretty good. Casey Mize he was pretty strong for the first 2 times through the order. He had some trouble in the third time around, but not a bad outing from him. Even today in a loss. So hopefully he can keep things going as well. Any other parting words before we get up out of here? A little bit of a shorter show. We didn't quite get to the 60-minute mark, but that's all right.
Yeah. I was just looking at some numbers briefly, kind of trying to look inside some of these games that they've had, see what the deeper underlying story is trying to tell us here. And I thought some of these numbers were interesting in terms of how they've been coming about this. So they're number 1 in solid contact at 9.3% in the league. Problem is they're bottom 5 in hard hit percentage, despite the fact that Carey's got 4 home runs. Torkelson obviously has got 4 himself with another one today. So you kind of think that's a little odd, but if you take those 2 guys out, they really haven't hit for much home run power at all. So along with that, they are second to last in average exit velocity. So what does it tell me? Essentially, they're not really pounding the ball, but they're making baseball plays when they're at bat. Whether they're just dinking it down there, they're taking some walks, they're sacrificing, moving guys over, scoring them from third on sac flies or, RBI, fielder's choice groundouts. They're moving the ball, and I think it's also due to their aggressive base running, which this is not new from last year. They were always a first to third as often as possible kind of team. And that's what's been able to translate into a few more runs, which has made the difference so far to start. But they are third in the edge hitting zone percentage in the league. So they are more so looking at those painted areas where you try to get those 50-50 calls as a pitcher, and they're driving the ball and putting it in play. So they're not getting cheaped out, that's for sure. But the only other thing too with it, they are the sixth lowest in zone swing and miss at a little over 19%. So while they are covering the edge of the strike zone offensively, they're missing some, I don't want to say easier pitches, but those that are located in the zone and they're swinging and missing at. So look to see if they can shore up some of the more middle areas of the zone going forward.
Yeah, when you got guys like Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green, they're gonna strike out a little bit, so you're gonna get some decent whiff out there, but they tend to punish the pitchers enough to where it makes up for it. But yeah, that wraps up another episode of Corner to Copa. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Bleachers to Speaker, and of course on all audio aggregators at Corner to Copa. We'll be back next week with another show. We out of here.
Peace.